This download is the only extract the BBC has of this edition of Desert Island Discs. The presenter was Roy Plumley.
Oliver, you're a Londoner, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
And there's theatre and film in your family background?
There is, yes.
Your uncle, Sir Carroll Reed?
Yes.
And Beerbohm Tree, I believe, was one of your ancestors.
So it's rumoured, yes.
As a youngster, what did you want to be?
I wanted to be an ice hockey player. I remember there was an ice hockey player called Chick Zammit that played for Nottingham Panthers. I wanted to be called Chick Zammit, and I wanted to be an ice hockey player. Other than that, I think I wanted to be a sailor, and then I wanted to be a doctor because I fell in love with nurses.
When you left home, you did a lot of jobs, all sorts of odd jobs.
Yes, I did. I worked in a seed factory. I worked as a minicab driver. I worked as a fairground booth fighter. I worked in the army.
Yes. You spent a couple of years in the army.
Yeah, national service.
Mm-hmm. And when you came out, why show business?
I wanted, why show business? I can't spell and I can't add up. A lot of people said that I should go into theatre. I didn't really want to go into theatre because the idea of theatre at that time bored me, simply because I didn't want to say the same thing every night to the same people, maybe for a run of 6 months. I wanted to go into movies because I believed that movies represented the fairyland of life, and I wanted to involve myself in the fairyland because I love fairyland. I believe in it very strongly. I therefore went into the media that perpetrated that feeling, which was movies. I started as a film extra, yes. The only way that I was ever allowed to get into a film studio.
Yes, in my days as a film extra, you were typed as smart crowd or rough crowd. Which were you?
I was rough crowd.
Which crowd assignments do you remember in particular?
I was a photographer, which wasn't really rough, and it was Sonia Heaney in London with Michael Wilding, and I was sent on a job from a little studio just outside London. And I went to London Airport, and I had to pretend to take photographs of Michael Wilding while he wore his shoes out climbing off the plane. I didn't learn much from that, but I learned a great deal about the camera. I realized, of course, that one had to grin at the right place at the right time.
Yes. You did quite a run of the Hammer horror films.
Yes, I think I made 7. At least they taught me how to sustain a performance over a period of 7 or 8 weeks out of continuity, because performances in films aren't given in continuity. You don't start in the beginning and finish at the end. You sometimes, as in life, you start at the end, you start dead and finish up a very live old man.
It was a very useful experience, as you say, because the films were made pretty quickly, too.
5 or 6 weeks, yes, if my maths serves me.
What was the first film that you really care to talk about that gave you a chance to show what you could do?
Well, my bank manager believes that it was The System, the first film that which I made for Michael Winner. In terms of my artistic life, I believe that my association, contrary to popular belief, with Ken Russell, it does run smoothly. I think that with Debussy was a moment in my life when I broke through as something else other than the man that wore the teeth.
Yes. So your first proper film, as it were, for Michael Winner, The System, and the Ken Russell films. Debussy, you also played Dante Gabriel Rossetti for him, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And I read the poetry for Henri Rousseau. And after reading that poetry, there's the first real breakthrough in terms of people listening to my voice. I was always playing Teddy Boys, and I had to put on another voice.
And on the big screen for Ken Russell, you did Women in Love, The Devils, Marlowe. And you're doing Tommy, or have you finished Tommy?
No, we finished Tommy. Tommy with the Who. That's a real breakaway, because I made a film called Oliver, and I played Bill Sykes. And Bill Sykes, on the stage, had one song, My Name, I think, which was his opening number, and my uncle Carol directed it. And quite rightly, John Wolfe and Carol determined that they thought that I wasn't sufficient of a singer to be able to sing the song, and quite rightly. Ken Russell has other ideas, and he always pushes me in at the deep end and wants to see me sink. In actual fact, on Tommy, he pushed me in at the deep end, and I think I sunk. But we'll see that in the spring. I think the film's going to open. But I think that Pete Townsend and The Who will probably save me.
Yes. Another film you did quite recently, The Three Musketeers, for Richard Lester. Was that fun to make?
It was great fun, yeah. And I'm very pleased to see that, for once, films are being made for family entertainment.
Surely. Oliver, through all the crises, all the terrible messes that the film business has been through, you've kept working.
Yes, I have. Simply because I go where the money is. I'm a professional actor. I believe, contrary to popular belief and contrary to some critics. The film industry in this country is in a bit of trouble. I go where the money is because I'm a professional. I've always said this. I've said this in the press before. Nobody ever says to Jackie Stewart or anybody says to Fittipaldi, you don't drive a motor car in Germany, in Spain, in South America, in Rome, in Germany, in the Nuremberg Ring simply because you're driving too many cars. I go where the money is. I will keep on working simply because I have a sense of responsibility and I know that one day the sun is going to set. Plus the fact that I enjoy it.
You work as a family concern. Your two brothers work as your publicist and your manager.
Yes, I have an illiterate younger brother called Simon who works as my publicity agent. He would be in a home if I didn't help him. My elder brother works looking after my business concern. I think the only reason I use my brothers on my concern is because I know where to find them. I mean, I find my young brother at home being fed porridge, and my elder brother wherever there's a banker.
What's in the pipeline? What's the next film we're going to see? Tommy, we've talked about.
Yes, my next film, I'm making another film for Dick Lester called Royal Flash, which is the story of Flashman. And Lester loves pulling down the fatted calf. And the Flashman, the all-consuming British hero, is going to be inevitably destroyed by Lester, and I'm going to play Bismarck. One of the main reasons that I accepted this part is because I'm going to have to fight Henry Cooper in the film, and my greatest admiration for boxers is for Henry Cooper. I hope Henry listens to this and he doesn't give me his famous hammer.